When it comes to diving deep in your fantasy baseball draft, Matt and I have some names that you definitely shouldn't be sleeping on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And guess what? If you do decide to give us that 5-star rating and review, you might as well take a screenshot of it and join us over on the Subtext platform and send us over a screenshot of your rating and review, and you'll have a chance to join our coveted listener league. Guys, we only have 4 spots left. We'll be announcing those last 4 winners on March 20th. And guys, you definitely want to get in that league with Matt and I and the rest of the guys. It's going to be a great time. And lastly, quickly, if you're watching on YouTube, you haven't already, hit the little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you notification every time we drop a new episode. And guys, real quick, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase with Gametime. All right, guys, if you haven't guessed already, we're talking sleepers. This is another one of Matt and I's favorite episodes to do. We got some great names for you guys today, so make sure you lock in for the whole episode, or lock on for the whole episode, rather. But Matt, a lot of great names we're talking about today. Who do you got up first as one of your sleepers?
All right, we got Mr. Casey Mize. Casey Mize coming off TJ, hasn't pitched in a while. But honestly, was being drafted everywhere right up until he was, had that unfortunate injury. Dude was a monster in, 22, where, he was able to put together a nice little season. Wait, do I have the right one up now? Yeah, in 22, I apologize. Right, I'm sorry, in 21, where he pitched about 150 innings. He had about 118 strikeouts. He had a 3.71 ERA and a 1.13 WHIP. Now, don't get me wrong, like the K per 9 really wasn't there, but I still think he had that level to get there. But ultimately, I feel like Casey Mize, if he is able to get a full season, he has more of like a Logan Webb upside of, not the K per 9, but is able to eat the innings and, perform and contribute and, do his thing. Plus, he has the protection of pitching in Detroit half his games. So, like, I really love Casey Mize, and plus what the upside is, you really have to ignore 22 just based off of the fact that, the injury and whatnot really hampered what he could actually do based on he was just pitching through injury. So Casey Mize is a guy that I don't want you to forget. You probably get him free 99. He's going, I think, as ADP of like 400 and change. So like,
yeah, spot on pretty much, Matt. He is, I think it was 398. So you're right there.
Right. So like ultimately he's like your last pick of the draft, and he could be somebody that's like, oh God, he's one of my top contributors week in, week out. So like, I don't care if it's points leagues, roto, head-to-head categories. Casey Mize can truly be a great guy across the board for all your fantasy teams. So do not sleep on him.
Yeah, Matt, I think you started this episode off perfectly. I think Casey Mize is the exact example of a sleeper, somebody who's being way underdrafted right now that does have some upside to be very good. Honestly, it's probably more of a deep league play at this point. I really wouldn't take him anywhere, outside of there. I have watched a little bit of him this spring training. He hasn't looked too sharp. 6 innings for Mize this spring, 5 walks, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. So hasn't looked super sharp, but you know what? It's a sleeper. It's a dart throw. At the end of the day, somebody that has upside, I guess, like I said, former, I think it was the number 1 overall pick, if I remember correctly. I just want to fact check myself on that.
Yeah.
He
First
was
pick of
former
2018 draft.
yeah, former number 1 overall pick. So the guy has super, super high upside and, free 99. So definitely somebody you want to look at late in your drafts. Matt, I'll follow your sentiment. I'll talk about somebody else that's going pretty late. Let's talk about Mickey Moniak, right? Actually, another former number 1 overall pick. So, let's keep the trend going there. With Moniak, somebody who finally showed up. We always say, one of my and Matt adages is not everyone's going to come up being
All right. So Dom's audio is getting a little messed up. So I'm gonna have Dom back out, come back in, and I'm gonna give my little take on Moniak. If you're all right, if you could just back out, back in, we'll be good. So Mickey Moniak, everybody's kind of like, oh, I love Mickey Moniak this year, and I can understand why. And you know what? I feel like he's more of like a wide awake sleeper than he is actually like a sleeper. Just based off of the fact that like a lot of people are on this kid, just based off what he did in his short time with LA last year. He had 311 at bats. He had 35 ribs. He had 21 doubles, 2 triples, 14 bombs, 45 ribs, um, 6 stolen bases, batted about 280. He loves to strike out and not walk at all. A real downside on that. But I mean, ultimately, I could see the appeal for having Mickey Moniak, and there is some true upside. There is a path to play. There is everyday play on that part. So, I like Mickey Moniak, but I do want to hear what Dom's input is since it is his guy.
Well, first of all, guys, I apologize. We were working through some technical difficulties here on my end. We're trying to get things sorted out. Matt, I'm not sure where you went with your side of things here, but former number 1 overall pick, 6'2", 195, lefty. Really love the potential here on Moniak. Just kind of had some injuries, other reasons, performance issues a little bit here and there. But you know what? Looks like he might have the opportunity to play every day. I really hope that the Angels are going to give him everyday playing time because last year, 85 games for Moniak as a 25-year-old, 311 at bats, 35 runs. What happened, brother?
I already covered that. Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So gotcha. I wasn't sure if my audio was acting up again or not.
We're
but
chilling.
yeah, no, okay, cool. So Matt covered the stats last year, finally showed up. But kid, once again, just a guy that has all the talent in the world. Matt, did you talk about his ADP?
No.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about his ADP. Another guy, outfield's a thin position. And you're gonna get somebody has a little bit of pop, has a little bit of speed, and honestly, he gets to learn from Mike Trout and got to learn from Ohtani in his time there. So I think Mickey Moniak is somebody, especially in those deeper leagues, you can keep your eyes on, and might really help you out. As I sit here and look up his ADP real quick. Matt, why don't we move on to this next guy? Who do you got up next first?
Thank you. We're gonna go Logan Allen right now. Logan Allen,
Quick,
another guy that
Mickey Moniak, pick 404,
Mhm.
110th outfield.
Bet.
Gotcha.
All right. So, sorry for dealing with our technical difficulties today. We're going to be dealing with, I think, the whole episode. But right now, I'm going to go Logan Allen here. He had a nice amount of starts and was pretty reliable down the stretch. Did have a high whip problem, but I think that could be a little bit just who he is, right? But I'm willing to pass on it because the price is pretty nice as well. Last year, he had 125 inning pitch. He had 119 strikeouts. Really nice. Almost that K per 9. Like I really like that. The 3.81 ERA. He had the 1.396 WHIP, which is not my favorite stat of his. And the FIP was about a 4.19. Like, don't get me wrong, like a fielding and pen pitching, but like ultimately, I think Logan Allen has a level to just be like a 3.5 to 3.75 ERA guy with like right under, K per 9, and the whip is going to be the challenging part. But the thing is, you're going to be able to get him so cheap that he could be somebody that can kind of just like bolster it, and then you play the matchups essentially of when you want to roll him out there and whatnot. And there is a world too where the upside is he turns around and just goes, boom, I got my control. Boom, I got this. Boom, I got that. Because I mean, you look at it in his past, in the minors, his K per 9 was well above his innings pitched. Like he had 132 strikeouts in the minors in 2022. I mean, 132 innings pitched and 177 strikeouts. In 21, he had 111 innings pitched and 143 strikeouts. So there is that upside where he could just turn it around and start, striking everybody out under the sun. So I just want to see what it is. If he's able to do that and, maintain a decent ERA and The only thing that's really going to hurt me is the whip. If he can keep it in like a 1-2 range, I ain't mad at the production, and the price is worth me holding that and keeping that risk till he can perform and be consistent throughout the season. But before I give Dom his take, who I know he really isn't a big fan of Logan Allen, and we talk about guys like Anthony Volpe, we got Seth Lugo, and we got Jordan Westberg coming up, we do have an ad break for you. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. You just pick more or less than 2 to 6 players and stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Exploring my skills on PrizePicks this season adds an extra layer of excitement to daily fantasy sports. With just a few taps, you can transform $10 into $1,000. PrizePicks is incredibly user-friendly. You can make selections and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. As a host of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, I got some rock-solid picks for you. Opt for higher than 5 strikeouts in a game for Logan Webb. Choose higher than 0.5 steals for Ellie De La Cruz in a single game. Consider a season-long pick, too, of more than 50 stolen bases for Bobby Witt Jr. We all know that guy's moonshotting to 70 right there. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for the first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Prize pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Locked On has launched its first ever national 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top stories of the day with your local experts on Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever 24/7 streaming channel. Also, guys, more importantly, for us here, introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Dive into this offseason with Dom and I as we provide you tiered-based rankings with over 100 outfielders and over 100 starting pitchers ranked. You'll also have exclusive access to our prospect insights, sleepers, breakouts, busts, and personalized grids, and way more sleepers on the subtext than on the show. When you have the burning questions, we've also got the great answers. And as the season unfolds, rely on our dynamic content. Get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of the fantasy league by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where your path to victory begins. Subscribe now. Elevate that fantasy baseball experience to new levels. And since you're going to do this, since you're smart and you want to win your league, you might as well submit a review on Apple and give us a screenshot on Subtext so you're getting that lottery for next week on that drawing. So you want to get in there, you want to get going, and you want to see if you can take on the big guys here. But all right, Dom, we got enough going on. I've done enough talking, and my New York accent's out. It's been a bit.
Well,
Give us a little hit on Logan Allen here.
I hope my internet is coming across, because I do have a little bit of haterade. If you guys are fans and you listen, Matt and I agree on a lot of stuff. We're pretty much brothers, known each other our whole lives, so we agree on a lot of stuff. We think alike. We both do very well in fantasy. It's So, but Logan Allen's the guy we disagree on. I think Logan Allen only really does one thing good. He's got a good changeup, and that's really about it. And changeup's supposed to be more of a setup pitch. And you're setting a changeup setting up a changeup with a changeup. His fastball is not good. Sweeper is not really a good pitch for him. So I just don't know what I really like about him. The results in the bigs last year weren't good. Matt kind of covered the stats, and even the FIP wasn't good either. So had a mediocre to poor showing as a rookie. I throw my darts in other directions. Is he a sleeper? Yeah, of course. The guy's going, I picked 359. So I agree with Matt in the sentiment. Yes, that he's a sleeper. Is he somebody that I'm targeting as a sleeper? Probably not. But let's keep things pushing. Let's, move on. Let's take another guy here. Let's talk about Christopher Sanchez. Christopher Sanchez is a little bit more of, maybe a little bit of a wide awake sleeper. I'll let Matt talk about it a little bit more. Matt's living out there in the Philly area these days, so he kind of has his ear to the ground a little bit more. But right now, Christopher Sanchez coming off the board, 70th starting pitcher, pick 241. Guy who had a good showing last year. He got some chances to start down the stretch. He had some big games actually. Matt, didn't you tell me that you didn't you see him pitch once?
Oh yeah, I've been in the game and seen him pitch.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
good.
So Yeah, Matt has seen him in person, and that's why I'm not really sure where Matt's head's on it. He'll speak more about it, but I'll just real quick. As a 26-year-old Christopher Sanchez, 18 starts, 3.44 ERA, 99 innings, 96 strikeouts, 104 WHIP, a 3.99 FIP. Just a guy that you kind of throw your dart at, end of your rotation, get him maybe your SP7 and kind of see where things go with the kid. But has some upside. I believe he's penciled into that Philly rotation as I'm trying to pull it up here. Just see what Roster Resource says. Yeah, and Roster Resource has him as the number 5 guy behind Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Walker. Just Christopher Sanchez, somebody I like, strong showing last year. Think you could draft him with confidence as like your last starting pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like against drafting him. It's just one of those things where like I just want to see a little bit more. I want to see if he can actually hold on to the roster spot as well because Mick Abel has been looking a little sharp in the minors, and there's an opportunity for him to get the call. So Christopher Sanchez isn't locked in, but luckily we're talking about him on the sleepers episode where he's kind of like cheap, but I don't want it to be raised too far. Like if he's not your last 2 picks, I'm not wasting my time on Sanchez. Anything higher than that, and you've already overpicked him because he's not going to have a long leash. They're going to be excited to get Abel up, and he's easily one of the guys that can do it. I think him and Walker are pretty much on the bubble. But the difference is Walker's getting that bag of money, and Sanchez isn't. So if anybody's going to go to make room for Abel, it's going to be Sanchez. So that's just the caveat of what could possibly happen with him. But yeah, let's move on here. Let's talk about Anthony Volpe here. Volpe is somebody I like going into this year. Anybody that was burned by Volpe, including myself, um, you know, obviously probably aren't even trying to look this kid's way. But I mean, you got to look at the kid as 22, didn't even expect to really make the big leagues last year, and and quite honestly, sorry, Lucas is now screaming. This is just the episode. Um, you know, Logan Webb, Logan Webb, Anthony
Anthony
Volpe
Volpe.
here, just didn't show up the way we thought. Batting average was not where I thought it would be. Didn't really steal the bases the way I wanted him to. You know, just wasn't as great. Like it just wasn't a thing. But ultimately, the Yankees as a whole just weren't what I thought they'd be last year. So Volpe, I feel like takes a step forward, got the taste. He's able to do his thing here and whatnot. So Volpe, I think is going to be fantastic and should be a contributor. I'm going to let Dom talk because I got to take care of my son real quick.
Yeah, I like Anthony Volpe. It's just a weird thing when it comes to the shortstop position, right? There is some a little bit of value deeper in drafts. Volpe's coming off the board 16th shortstop, pick 129, and then there's a huge drop off though. Then you see like Tyro Estrada as the 17th shortstop, pick 170. So as much as I like Volpe's upside, he's still, I don't know if I necessarily classify him as a sleeper at this point. Maybe more of like a breakout. I can see it. He went 2020 last year. Could Volpe have a season where he has 80 runs and 25 homers with 30 steals and 75 RBIs? The batting average thing that's always going to hold him back though, because I don't know if he could be a 240, 250 hitter. Maybe he lives up to that draft price. But even as a Yankee fan, I'm being realistic, and I don't know if I'm looking Volpe's way that much in drafts. Guys, but real quick, before we move on and finish up today's episode with a few more names that you definitely don't want to be sleeping on, we do have one more quick ad break for you guys. And guys, we're talking about Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. That's why you need to check out the Gametime app. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Using the Gametime app is super rewarding with flash deals and last minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, images and views from the exact seats you'll be sitting in, their lowest price guarantee and event cancellation protection, and they're all in one prices showing your total upfront so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices always guaranteed. All right, Matt. I see my brother's back. He's ready to talk. Or I even if one of your guys was last, Matt, why don't you jump back in? I gave a nice little take on Volpe. Throw out one of your guys, brother.
Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. Wife just drops him off in the background and says, "Oh, he's sleeping," and then he's not. So yeah, this is just one of those episodes where this is just going to be
Yeah,
a
we're sorry, guys. We apologize, but you guys, I'm sure you know how life goes. But we're here
yeah.
with our sleepers. We're doing our best we can for you with the fantasy baseball knowledge.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk Jordan Westberg. I love me some Westberg this year. Westberg is somebody that I'm actually interested to see what he's going to be doing. He should have a rotation. He should have a roster spot. In all honesty, it's just a matter of where. Right now in spring, he's actually doing all right. He's the batting average isn't great, but he's taking the plays. He has a home run. He has 2 ribs. Has a double and a triple. Played about 25 games, so I don't foresee him getting sent down right now. At least they're still going to push through. He wasn't really able to take advantage fully of his opportunity once he got to the bigs last year with 208 at bats, 26 runs, 17 doubles, 2 triples, 3 bombs, 23 ribs, 4 stolen bases, and batted about 260. Like, it wasn't really great, but I still think there's another level to this kid. He was the number 1 prospect at some point last year, and when he got the call, he was mashing and doing his thing in 301 at bats. He already had 18 home runs. He already had, 54 ribs and 57 runs, and he was batting 295. In 2022, the dude had 27 home runs and 544 at bats. Like, he has all the makings of being a really good player, and I feel like he's being forgotten. I don't know the ADP offhand, but I do know that the dude is actually going like pretty much free 99.
I
And,
got you if you
he's
want it.
yeah, please.
32nd, third baseman, pick 322.
Right. So, like, this is like a steal. Like, you could draft him as one of your last bats, and he could ultimately be a serious contributor in home runs, ribs, because you know what that team offers. And I have a feeling the batting average is going to bounce back. It takes time to adjust to the bigs, and he only got 200 at bats. He really didn't even get like a fair shot of, really getting into it and figuring out the league. So I think Westberg really could turn a corner and could be very valuable. And this draft price is absolutely insane.
Yeah, Matt, I definitely feel the sentiment. Roster resources back in what you're saying. They have Westberg penciled in as the starting third baseman for now. I do like Westberg. It did hit 260. Last year in his short time in the bigs. Didn't really show off too much of that power, speed. That he's seen in the minors. More of a power than a speed guy. But Matt hit all the points in this Baltimore Orioles team. I think he's a guy that you pick up, as maybe one of your last picks. Maybe in those corner infield type leagues, you take him there, and you see where things go. But he's a one that for me, things could go south real quick. Baltimore's roster in the minors is super deep, so they could bring up anyone else at any moment and have somebody right in there. So definitely a short leash with Westberg, but I definitely do like the name as a sleeper. Let's move on here. Let's talk about let's see which way I want to take this. Let's talk about starting pitchers. A lot of starting pitchers are hurt, and somebody I think is being super undervalued is Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo had a nice year last year for the Padres. People might not remember, but and he's had a solid career too. He goes over to Kansas City in the offseason. So, a team that's actually been, pretty good with starting pitching recently. With the guys like Cole Reagans. So I think Seth Lugo, career 350 ERA guy, over 640 innings, 648 strikeouts. So, over that K per 9. And this is for Seth Lugo's whole career, not even just last year, and a career 117 whip. That sounds like a very, very serviceable starting pitcher to me. If you've drafted pretty risky throughout the draft and you got some guys you're not sure about, I think it could take Seth Lugo at the end as that stabilizer. And, maybe not on a week-to-week basis, you won't always be satisfied. But when you look back at the end of the season and you see the solid 3.5 ERA, sub 1.2 whip, and that over K per 9, you're going to be very happy when you could grab him as the 84th starting pitcher, pick 290. I don't know what's not to like about Seth Lugo. Just somebody who's being super undervalued. Honestly, a gem of a pick right now.
Yeah, I like Lugo. Lugo was one of my sleepers last year. Funny enough, just he really helps out in the deeper leagues. I don't know if I'm picking him in a 12 man, but a 14, 15 man roto. I'm kind of all about it. We'll see what he can make out of this season. I'm definitely not opposed to picking him. In all honesty, but yeah, I like it. Dom, we already did two of mine, so why don't you hit another one?
Ooh, all right. I'll go back to back. Matt, we could share this one because I know you like this guy too. Let's talk about
And now
Jared
we have internet
Duran.
issues.
Ah,
So this is one of those things today, guys. I apologize. Let me pick one of his. I'm gonna go Jared Duran, I guess. Jared Duran is somebody that's interesting this year. Jared, here we go. It's just an episode today. Jared Duran is fun. Boston's outfielder. I like him a lot. Actually, I've been trying to get Dom to do his thing and actually, get on board with him, but you know, he wasn't able to live up to the hype until last year. Last year in 332 at bats, he had 46 runs, he had 34 doubles, 2 triples, 8 bombs, 40 ribs, 24 stolen bases, and batted 295. But the thing about Duran is he has stolen base upside out the wazoo. In the minors, he had a 46 stolen base season, and the speed is outrageous. And he can hit for, decent average. I don't think he's like a 295. I think he's more like a 275 hitter, really at like what his real baseline is. But ultimately, I think Duran can take advantage of just the Boston lineup with Casas and Devers and Story. Like he could be a really nice asset there, and I'm just hoping that he ends up, leading off for the team, and we could see a lot of upside in the run category, along with the stolen bases, and they could pretty much give him the green light all day. Tom, are we good?
I hope so, brother. I'm hoping and praying right now. How we
Yeah,
looking?
you're good. Keep it going.
Okay. All right. So it's funny that we've kind of switched on Duran. You were super high on him as he's coming up through the minor league system. And honestly, I wasn't. But now where I feel like the price is right, where, Duran's coming off the board, 44th outfielder, pick 179. I feel like everyone's starting to warm up on him. I think they officially announced they want him to lead off. So that's a great spot for him. Matt talked about all the other great names in that lineup. I could see Duran with like a 90-run season. Maybe he'll chip in like 10, 12 bombs. RBIs probably won't be great, maybe 60, 70 RBIs. But Matt talked about the steals upside. 50 steals. I don't think that's out of the question for, a young Duran who's in the 96th percentile of, sprint speed, 27 years old. This guy's going to show why he was such a highly touted prospect this year. And I think Matt, you think you're selling him short. I think this guy could hit 280, 285. I really think, he has it in his repertoire. Always hit for a pretty solid batting average in the minors. Had one year where it was a little bit down, but every other year, did pretty well. Even in had a couple seasons over 300 there. So I think it's in the repertoire, and then the underlying stuff looked good for batting average with him as well. So somebody that I really think is being undervalued right now. Matt, we're running short here on time. You got one more in you, or?
Nah, honestly, I think we're pretty much good to cut out. I do want to apologize, guys, for the technical difficulties on such an important episode. But yeah, we have a whole long list of sleepers on the subtext. If you want to check it out, come on, see what's up. You get 2 weeks free if you really want to check it out and not have to worry about paying for it. So give us a shot, and we'll send you the list and call it a day. I apologize again. This was not fun for us either. I apologize.
Yeah, guys, same sentiment here where, some of the stuff is on my end. We're working through it right now, for our loyal fans who are here every episode, and even, new listeners, guys. Once again, stick with us. This is what we do. Go back, listen to, some of the older stuff. We trust me, we're pretty good at this. And once again, sincerely apologize. We're gonna get this under control. Hopefully by next episode. We'll see where things go. But guys, that's all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Shout out to our everydayers and new listeners making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. But guys, until next time, see ya.
Peace.